Guys, it's crazy right now. We're seeing prices of NBA players, NFL, MLB, all these guys, their prices are going through the roof, double, triple, quadruple in just a matter of weeks. So how do you actually invest in players without just jumping on a trend that could blow up any day? Fortunately, this little sports card economy is mirroring something I know a lot better, which is real estate investing. So in this video, I'll share with you how you can spot opportunity for maximum profit while hedging your bet against risk, all while other people are just jumping on a crazy train that's gonna go off a cliff in a matter of months. By the end, you'll be able to dominate as a sports card investor and perhaps a real estate investor as well. Welcome back. Now let's get to work. So the first truth you need to tell yourself is not everything is going up in value. There are certain cards, certain players that are staying the same and maybe even going down, but all the attention is around all the players that are just skyrocketing. So who are these players? Well, we got Jordan, we have Aaron Judge perhaps, we have LeBron and Kobe, we have Shaq, we have a lot of the older NBA stars, we have Tom Brady, all these guys are going up. So if you convert that to real estate, not every market is going up in value. Which are the ones that are going up the most? And the answers could be something like Austin, Tampa, Las Vegas. So the second question you want to ask yourself is, why? Why are these players going up so much? Well, you have the Last Dance documentary, which is bringing a lot of attention to Jordan and Pippen and Rodman and all the other 90s stars. You have LeBron James, who's always relative and is always involved with so many things. You have Tom Brady, who's the GOAT, who's now on the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, so he's getting a lot of press. And in terms of real estate, you got to ask yourself the same question. Why is Las Vegas going up so much? Why is there so much development? Well, it's a lot more affordable for California residents. It's only 4 hours away from LA, but there's no tax. You have Austin, which is becoming a tech hub of the South, and again, there's no taxes. And you have Tampa, which is great for retirees. So a lot of people in New York and in Canada, when they have money, they buy their retirement house in Florida. So now you know the why, you could start going on to the next question. Now this is where it gets advanced. You ask yourself, all right, I know who's going up in value and I know why. Do I expect them to continue to go up in value? Why or why not? And when you can get good at this, you're deciphering between hype and merit. And that is pretty much it when it comes to investing, because when you can decipher between what's being inflated because of attention and what's actually good, like a solid value, now you can actually buy low and sell high. So for NBA or for sports, you could be thinking, well, if playoffs return, I expect the current NBA legends, for example, to be less relevant because the Last Dance will wear off and we'll be focused on NBA playoffs. I expect NHL playoffs to bring some attention and maybe some of those guys. But then again, all the teams that are not in the playoffs, who really cares about them during NBA playoffs? They might not be relevant till free agency or until the next season. You could be thinking baseball is going to start soon, so there could be a big push towards baseball after all this. And then football will be hiking up. So maybe all the retired guys will be less relevant and their card prices will cool, and all the guys in the playoffs and that are changing teams could get a big surge in prices. At least that's the way you want to think. So if I ask myself the same questions regarding real estate, I can go, all right, well, Austin had pretty high real estate prices, and with tech going on, maybe they're hit a bit. Florida, Tampa has a lot of retirees that are probably unaffected, and maybe a lot of retirees from cold weather places like New York would move to Florida even more because they don't want to be around so many other people in cold weather because of the coronavirus. Las Vegas, well, their tourism is ridiculously hurt right now. So what does that mean? Well, maybe a lot of people will lose jobs and maybe a lot of homes will hit foreclosure, and that could be a good opportunity to invest in the future. But we got to start thinking that way. The next question is, are there other players I want to consider versus the obvious? If you think LeBron and the Lakers are going to win the championship this year, you might ask yourself, well, who else can I invest in if LeBron rookie cards are $20,000? Well, for one, there's other cards, which we'll get to, but there's also Anthony Davis, if he's in your budget. There's Dwight Howard, there's Kyle Kuzma, there's other guys that will see residual returns versus just honing in on LeBron. If you're familiar with New York City, you know that Manhattan has the highest prices. That's where everyone wants to live, or like they say they do. So if you say you live in Manhattan, it means, oh man, I live in the city and it's the most expensive and it's the busiest and it's all this. But if you can't afford Manhattan, well then you go out to Brooklyn, you go to Williamsburg, you go to Queens, you go to Jersey, you go to the surrounding areas, and the busier Manhattan gets, the higher the prices of Manhattan, the more development and prices get spread out to the other boroughs, the other areas outside of Manhattan, because if you can't afford the main one, you go to the second best. And then if you can't afford second best, you go to third best. And that's just how it works. Same thing with cards. Now, if you go through this process and you really want to invest in LeBron James because you believe he is the player, but you can't afford the main rookie card, well, then you got to go to the next best thing. So that could be like, not his Topps Chrome rookie, but maybe you go to another one of his rookie cards, or you go to his Prism rookie, or you go to some of his Topps Chrome cards, or others that you believe are high volume, that are very liquid, but will also benefit, and it's in your price range. If you can't afford his rookie, maybe you say, all right, well, his PSA 10's out of the question, but I could afford one of his raw cards, or a PSA 9, or a PSA 8. But regardless, you start in and then you go out. For real estate, it could be like saying, all right, Tampa is it. I want to invest in Tampa. That's what I believe in, but that does not mean I need to get a nice brand new condo downtown in a high rise. Instead, I'll go to the next neighborhood in Tampa that's getting gentrified, that's not perfectly good just yet. It's not amazing, but there's promise there. There's room to grow, and it's within my budget. When determining which cards to invest in of that player, of course you want to start with the rookie card and you want to go with the ones that investors and collectors find as staples. But as we've seen the prices go through the roof lately, the way I'm doing it is I'm going to the point where I'm not seeing where the price has gone up just yet. I want to see like a Topps Chrome or a Finest, or things where the prices might start going up soon, but I just don't want to overpay for someone else's hype. So I would rather buy the player, knowing that Kobe, LeBron, Shaq, Giannis, Tom Brady, they will always have value. They have a legacy, they have upside. However, I do not want to pay because Jimmy, 19-year-old Jimmy over here has dad's credit card and is jacking up the price. I want to make sure I'm touching the cards that if I look back 4 months, 5 months, 6 months, that is where the price still is at, because that inflation hasn't hit just yet. So a real life example would be, of the 700 or so cards I have, a lot of them have been Topps Chrome, Finest, Refractors, Bowman's Chrome, beautiful cards that I believe will go up in value just because they are epic players. They're Griffey, they're Kobe, they're players I love, and I love looking at them. So I could look through that collector's lens and say, that's a beautiful card. I could look through an investor's lens and say, I could totally see this go up in value in the future just because it'll reach this. But if not, it still appeals to a collector. And at $1, $2, $3, $4, there's no real room for it to go down. A $3 card cannot go down that far. However, if I'm competing with every 18-year-old and 22-year-old and everyone that hears a podcast episode of Gary Vee or watches a YouTube video that's really popular and everyone flocks to it, there will be a bidding war, and I'm not going to compete in that. So those are the parallels to real estate. Remember, you got to buy the merit, sell the hype, make sure you're far out so that the prices are not inflated. If this video has been helpful for you, please pound that like. Let me know what your biggest takeaway was in the comment section below, and stay tuned for my next video.